Wait for it to pop up for a second. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to MUFC vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and it is a big show today as promised. But as you can see, I'm here with a special guest today. Christian Eriksen has flown all the way in from Manchester to join us today.
Hello.
This is my buddy Dylan. Dylan is a fellow United fan, obviously, and I invited him to come by today to co-host this special show. This is our big awards show, right? We're doing the Community Shield reaction. We're going to be doing our player awards for the 2023-24 season. And I value Dylan's opinions, his views on the club, on football. He's a very smart guy. He's got a lot of good insight. So I thought he would be a great guest. So it just works out very nicely that he looks exactly like Christian Eriksen. So anyone out there doing a double take, he could be. You never know.
Long lost brother.
So, Dylan, tell me a little bit about just your history with United, how you became a fan, your early memories, favorite players, all the fun questions that everybody gets, right?
So, ironically, for me, growing up, if you guys remember, like when FIFA first came out on the N64 and everything, and it was like Arsenal and United were the big.
Yeah.
So I'm 6-7 years old and I know nothing about soccer, and so the two teams you could play at in like friendlies were United and Arsenal. My brother and I would be like. I kept trying to figure out which team Beckham was on because Beckham was the big name in the late 90s. You wanted to be like Beckham. But then Arsenal, when you're 7 and they have this big cannon on there, you're like, that's cool.
Guns, right? Guns.
Yeah. So we would play as Arsenal all the time. But I always heard about United. Like you'd always hear about United winning. So I always had it in my head. And I didn't really pay attention, but I knew Beckham played for United. And so I'm like, I always kind of followed that. And then I got into it more in high school because my friends played. And so I'd hang out with them. I ran cross country and track, so I didn't do that, but they were into soccer. And so I followed things with that. And then I remember specifically I was working or doing something and the Champions League final was on, the Moscow final against Chelsea. Got to watch the last bit of it, the extra time.
Anytime you can watch John Terry slip and fall on his ass.
Oh, it was great.
It's a great day.
I remember just sitting there. My dad doesn't care about soccer. My mom doesn't care. My brother doesn't care. I'm sitting there, got to take up the big TV in the house. Remember those big, huge boxes?
You're right.
Sitting there watching it, like pleading, come on. And they won. And so then from then I was hooked. Life gets in the way a little bit and you don't pay attention as much. And then when 10 years later or so, when I started teaching, for my first job, I had some kids that were really into it. Chelsea fans and Arsenal fans.
Chelsea fans. Nobody's perfect. But.
I know. Their grades might have gone down.
Yes.
But we were talking, it was the year we lost the FA Cup final to Chelsea. And I had been talking a lot of smack. And I was like, we got this. And we lost, and he was talking smack to me, and I got back into it because of this kid. So Dustin, I know you're probably not watching this, but thank you. So then I got back into it. I started playing FIFA and, following all the transfers and everything. And so then basically from then on, I've been hardcore United fan again. So it
was hard, to be an American soccer fan, especially if you were a Premier League soccer fan, especially in the 90s, even the early 2000s, because there was no streaming apps. There was no MUTV. There was not really like as much TV channels. Like if you had satellite, like you were rich back in those days. And so it was like, you found some VHS tapes or you knew somebody who was rich or something, or if you were fortunate enough, it was hard to be a soccer fan back then.
I remember when they had SportsCenter, and SportsCenter didn't just have talk on it, but it was all the sports clips. It was always like the United clips. And I just remember Beckham would always be on there. Kino would be on there. Scholes, he'd have something on there. And it was just, that's how I got it.
So like 08, 09, I was in college. And so, and have cable and whatnot and stuff, so like couldn't watch a lot, so I had to go to a bar or something if I wanted, and then even then I wasn't quite old enough, and so I couldn't go to like B-dubs after like 9 o'clock because they were like, no, we're too small, we're technically a bar, can't. I'm like, come on. So I met Dylan through Detroit Red Devils. They are now officially recognized.
This would be the second year they're officially recognized.
So officially recognized United Supporters Group. They meet at Loaded Dice Brewery, and that's in Royal Oak.
No, that's in Troy.
Troy. That's
currently,
right. So big up Jeff and Jen for opening the doors early.
Thank you, Jeff and Jen.
Early on the weekends. And serving up the libations that they make themselves. It's some of the green is good stout. thing of beauty. Love it. So if you guys are getting in the Troy area and you want something cold to drink, go check out Loaded Dice Brewery. Big up Loaded Dice. And something you guys might remember if you've been watching the channel for a long time, Dylan was actually the winner of my very first giveaway way back when the channel only had about 5 or 6 subscribers. He won this Rio Ferdinand jersey. It is brand new, patches, tags. It is a beautiful thing of beauty. It's from the 09-10 season. But Dylan won that, and I was glad to be able to finally connect with him today to give that.
Stuff going on. We haven't been able to connect.
I know Summer, I live about a half hour from the bar. You live about a half hour from here. So it's just summer's pretty dead in Michigan. If you're not familiar with Michigan, everybody's got a cottage. Everybody knows somebody who's got a cottage. So Michigan turns into a zombie movie. Everyone's just gone all summer long. And so it is what it is. But time flies. We're at 231 subscribers now. We're at 5 or 6, a couple months ago. It has been an incredible ride. So thank you for stopping by.
I remember I was texting him a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Man, the channel's taken off because you hadn't been doing it with your leg or for your ankle." And then I kind of got out of it, and then I checked back in. Here it goes, and I was glad that it started taking off again. So.
It was those it was the Rene Haka and the Ruud van Nistelrooy videos that really did it. Again, I'm a bit of a nerd. I like doing the research. I like looking at the numbers. I like looking at the history and the tactics and just getting the insight on coaching and players. And it was why not share it? And so everybody, not a whole lot was known about Rene Haka when he joined. And so I jumped right on it and wanted to.
I didn't know anything. So thanks this guy for making that video.
I mean, I love it. I mean, if I'm going to take the time to learn from myself, if I just write down like what I'm learning and like, it's easy just to share that again in a video. And it is what it is. So it's like, why write a rough draft on paper when you can write a rough draft in the computer? You're doing twice the work. So it is what it is. So obviously today we have a special guest. It may or may not be Christian Eriksen, but has anyone else seen Christian Eriksen at this moment in time?
I didn't think he came back from the US. So
I'm just saying. And guys, I didn't even clock that last night's video was my 115th video already. I didn't even realize that I'd made that many videos. So in honor of 115 videos, I'd like to dedicate the 115th video to Manchester City. If you know, you know. And before we dive into the match reaction and our player awards, because I know that's why you're all here, let's all take a moment to wish Roy Keane a happy 53rd birthday today, our former captain, someone I think we could all really appreciate in the squad today if you were here. But happy birthday, Keno. We're not going to sing the song because no one wants to hear that. But let's dive into some transfer news first because we did get some big Danny B. Big up in the chat, Danny B. Welcome back. I know you were supposed to be hanging out with the missus today, pal, but I appreciate you taking the time to stop by, bud. Let me know your thoughts on the match and on these big transfer bombas that we got when I woke up this morning. So as I anticipated in last night's video, the transfer news that we discussed last night did accelerate overnight. It's amazing how that happens. It's like magic.
Yeah. Go to bed and it's like you said, like magic. The next day it's right there.
I got to remember, like the UK is 5 hours ahead. So by the time I'm waking up, everybody's already doing lunch. They're already getting stuff done. So Pletty Goal was on point. Danny B says, won't be till later on solid performance. Looked well organized. Yeah, it did look well organized. We're going to get into that match shortly. So I woke up the news today from Florian Plettenberg and Dharmesh Sheth, obviously Pletty Goal and Dharmesh Sheth with Sky Sports. They were reporting this morning that a deal was all but wrapped up for Aaron Wan-Bissaka to join West Ham. Obviously, that's been a bit of a saga in the last couple of weeks. Is he going to go? Does he want to pay out? Like we talked a little bit about those weird clauses that the previous regime had negotiated with some of these players if we activate that extra year. Yeah, Woodward is a joke. He's somewhere on a beach just laughing right now. You know he is. But then we got a here we go from Romano earlier this morning that deal is set to go. It looks like it's going to be £15 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. West Ham are making moves this summer. They've signed Kilman. They're looking at who's the other player they're looking at just yesterday. I thought
striker.
Yeah. Oh, they got what's his face, Folkrug.
Yep, that's
and Todibo. That's the other one. Yeah,
yep, they're looking at hijacking that one.
F you again, UEFA. Yep. So Aaron Wan-Bissaka, here we go to West Ham, $15 million. United, according to Romano, have authorized Wan-Bissaka to travel. Mazraoui looks like he's joining soon. I've seen a lot of United fans not too happy that we're selling Wan-Bissaka. A lot of them think that he's good enough to stay. And I've shared my thoughts on that. It's not that Wan-Bissaka is bad, just because a manager, and this is why I said the other day, when you look at clubs, it's more important to look at managers, because the tactics that a manager is going to employ are going to have more to do with who stays and who goes than anything. And Wan-Bissaka just, to me, doesn't suit a Ten Hag system in terms of the way he wants his fullbacks to play. Justin couldn't make it today in person, but Justin getting involved in the chat was good. What's really good. Throwing out the Colonel Stink meaner. I appreciate that after the Community Shield. So, like I was saying, Wan-Bissaka is not that he's bad, right? I think we can all appreciate Wan-Bissaka's tackling. He's not fully 100% aware sometimes in that back post, but I think he would probably suit another club a little better than Ten Hag. We've seen that Ten Hag likes his fullbacks to invert. He likes them to really know, to discern when and how to overlap, underlap. And I think there's a tactical level. And I'm not saying Wan-Bissaka is dumb, but maybe there's just a tactical ability that he's not quite there.
Which is what I would agree with. Defensively, he's great.
Yeah.
Okay, we've seen all those tackles he made. I mean, he saved us a lot of points. I can remember vividly. I can't remember which team it was, but it was the goal-saving tackle on the breakaway. I mean, they call him the Spider for a reason. But offensively, I mean, besides a few offensive gems that happen once in a while, I mean, he's a liability.
Yeah.
And Dalot plays a lot better on the right.
Dalot was one of the most improved players last season. So we're going to talk a little bit about him a little later on. But again, not that Wan-Bissaka is bad. It's like Maguire. Maguire's not a bad defender. He doesn't suit Ten Hag's system. David De Gea, not a bad goalkeeper, doesn't suit the way Ten Hag wants to play out from the back.
And if we're going to keep Ten Hag, which I hope we do.
Yeah.
I know I've given Ten Hag shit in the past,
as we all have.
Yeah, and I've been like, we should get rid of him, but he didn't have the players, and I think if we're going to stick with him, we got to back him.
You have to. So, if you're going to stick with him, you have to support him, and backing just doesn't mean spending money. You got to remember, Ten Hag's still rolling with Mourinho signings, and for a tactical manager to have so many counterattacking players that were signed by counterattacking managers. That's really difficult. And we'll talk about it today, but a little hint of foreshadowing. You see what happens when you want to play out from the back and you don't have the defenders to do it. Onana is just one component in that system. And so we saw today against the press, which a lot of clubs do now, they shit the pants. It's just visually what it is. So moving on to the big Bamba today. The big here we go. We got a 1-2 whammy punch of a Bamba, and here we go today. So David Ornstein dropped the bomb on us. And you guys probably all saw, they put up the graphic during the match. United have agreed to a deal with Bayern Munich for Matthias de Ligt. It looks like it's 45 million euros plus 5 million in add-ons, pending the medical, obviously. Let's hope that his knees pass that medical. I'm not too thrilled with the ligament injuries. 3 of them in 2 years on both knees.
Yeah, well, in our medical department.
Yeah, the less said about that, the better. And then it looks like it's 15 million euros plus 5 million euros for Nusayr Mazraoui as well. So the double. So they're going to be reunited with Xerxes. It does rest, it sounds like, according to Ornstein, on Wan-Bissaka leaving. So hopefully that all goes smoothly. Samuel Butthurt does add that the fee for de Ligt will be spread over 3 years, which we all know that that's what happens. I think a lot of people get hung up on the fee and think that that's how much comes out. It's not. All these fees are amortized over several years. It has been for years, just because Chelsea have basically exploited it and basically just screwed everyone over. It always happens though. But still, how do you feel? Both 2 players for 60 million, de Ligt, Mazraoui, 60 million.
I think that's a good deal. My one caveat with de Ligt, I think he's a great defender. I liked him at Juventus, and I thought he would do a little bit better at Bayern. I know the injuries got in the way. As long as he stays healthy, though, he could be a huge pickup. If
he could stay healthy, that's literally my only worry about him, is if he could stay healthy. A healthy de Ligt is one of the better defenders you're going to see in football, in my opinion.
I 100% agree.
He's got leadership, right? He's good in the air. He's quick.
And with Licha in the back line, that can really work, because we're going to have Lenny Yoro is going to be out. And so and I don't think he's going to be starting right away anyway.
No, I think that I forget about Euro. We still have him. So big news. So go ahead.
In terms of Mazraoui, I think that's going to be good competition. And I think they said he can play left or right too.
He can play left. He played left for Morocco in the World Cup. Pretty much that was what he played. And then he's filled in there at left back. I know Alphonso Davies was injured off and on the last few years since Mazraoui's been at Bayern, obviously. So I like Mazraoui.
I do too.
He's actually, if you like I said in the one video, he actually averages more tackles per 90 than Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka's got him on interceptions, but
and for a tactical standpoint, in that regard, if we want a more defensive setup, he can go on that right side instead of Dallo, and Dallo might be able to push up a little more.
Well, and Mazraoui's attacking numbers are crazy good. Like I'm talking top 10% in all these metrics. Successful take-ons, progressive carries. It's off the charts. Now we just need a midfielder. I think a midfielder.
We were just talking about that.
So before going into this, I would have given the transfer window like a 2 or 3 out of 10. If we get these 2 players over the line and get Wan-Bissaka out, I'll push up to like a 5. If we get a midfielder, it's like a 6. If we can sell a couple of players, I'd put up to like a 7 or 8.
Yep.
So it's a bummer that we left it so late.
Yep.
Danny B getting involved in the chat. Ferdy, Amrabat, Fofana, and McTominay, Lindelof out next. Well, speaking of Lindelof, Danny, because you are Nostradamus, we also did get a report from Caught Offside today claiming that Victor Lindelof is set to depart United. There's yet to be seen what club that's going to be, but it does look like, according to this source, that he's for sure out the door. He's apparently, according to the report, attracting interest from several clubs in the Saudi League, which is a new link for him. Italy, which I feel like I remember an Italian team being linked with him recently.
Yeah,
I feel like it was maybe Fiorentina or something. Yeah. But then obviously Fenerbahce were expressing interest. Obviously Jose Mourinho, new Fenerbahce manager. He's the one who signed him. He loves him. Apparently he wants a new challenge as well. So
I totally understand that from him. I mean, the best I see him being is a substitute, which is a good substitute. I love that long ball he can ping, but he's a kind of a liability in the air. He's not as strong.
He's not good at defending the channels. Exactly. He has linked up with Rashford a couple times with those long balls. He's got it in his locker. It is. I think kind of like Anthony, the league, and even Sancho to a degree. The league is just maybe
it's a little too much.
He's on 120K a week though, so if he wants a new challenge, he's gonna have to take a pay cut.
Yes, he will.
So that is what it is. But good luck, Vic, the Iceman.
Yes.
You came, you saw, you conquered-ish, but
few trophies.
No, it's nothing personal. It's all about the club. It's all about what goes on in the pitch. It's all about strengthening, and it's all about Manchester United at the end of the day. So. Again, he was a signing from like 3 managers ago. It is. You could say it's another case of just the old regime not being able to move players on for the new managers because Ollie had him and now Ten Hag's had him now. So it is what it is. That's a bit about it on transfer news. Not a whole lot. Like I said, we were going to probably have some updates on the stuff from last night, which we did. We'll probably see some more coming in this upcoming week regarding a midfielder. I hope we do. Like Danny B says, Amrabat, Fofana, that could be like 35 million for both of those players if we were to do that. We've been linked with Sander Berge, obviously Ugarte, João Gomez, Andre at Fluminense, all sorts of midfielders we've been talking about the last several weeks. But we did get another update today regarding United's squad going into the season. So this is again coming from Samuel Butthurst. It's a bit of an obvious update, but an update nonetheless. So he did confirm today that United have officially added Harry Amas, Toby Collier, and Ethan Wheatley to the first team squad for the upcoming season. Kind of all knew it was coming. They featured pretty heavily, maybe not so much Wheatley, but Wheatley did feature last season. He came on as a sub against some matches. Remember, Bruno famously said, I've got 9 minutes to get you a goal when he came on. I think it was against Southampton, I want to say. No, not Southampton. Sheffield. So good news. You like what you see from the youngsters?
I like especially Harry Amas. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him with the tenacity, with attacking, with the effort. Toby Collier, I see another one. Same thing with Wheatley. They just need to get blooded. Yeah. They need to get some of that experience. I'm totally good if we give him half a season here and then loan him out to a League One, maybe a championship if they really stand out. But those are huge signings, and I think they're going to do well.
Amas, so the first couple matches of preseason, I wasn't super convinced, but I keep reminding yourself he's a youngster. It's his first. He got better as preseason went on, and he looks like, honestly, I'm not trying to jump to conclusions. He did look a little better than me than I've seen from Malacia when Malacia played. Yeah. He was lively. He was getting involved. He was linking up his 1-2 passes along that left wing. Looked very good. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Malacia and Shaw's fitness, because it's one of those things where I feel like now I'd almost want to just keep him. I don't want to let him go on loan because with Luke Shaw, it's literally a coin toss if he's going to injure. He's been fit only half the time he's been at United. And Malacia, do you even know what Malacia's injury was? Does anybody, if anyone could tell me what Malacia's injury was,
please tell me too, because I've been trying to figure that out. We saw him at the FA Cup. It was the first sighting I've seen.
And we see him in training, so it looks like he's back at least training with the first team. I have no clue what is. Part of me wonders if it was kind of like Casemiro or Licha, where it was like a misdiagnosis and they're keeping it quiet because they don't want to publicize just how shit the medical staff is. But
maybe we should stop hiring Arsenal people.
I'm just like, that's insane to me, but it is what it is. I mean, so that's the updates, a little bit of the transfer. Let's jump into the Community Shield. I'm sure you guys all watched that. I know I've not been hyping it up because to me it is friendly. Like I said, going into it, I would play the kids. I don't want, it's like that hard line between we need the first teamers to get some minutes, but how many injuries are we going to roll the dice on? Like we saw so many new signings we're not even now going to see for another few months. Our big striker we signed last season out for a month and a half. And we've got players who are pulling up on things and getting little nicks and knocks and niggles. And it's just, you want minutes, but you don't want to. Exactly. So it looked like Ten Hag was like, you know what? We need to get these guys minutes on the belt. We're going to start Rashford. Bruno is right back into the mix. Garnacho right back into Licha back into the mix. So, you caught the first half, most of the second half, right? Yep. So go through a little bit of the highlights and talking points from the first half. Obviously, a lot of first teamers in the starting 11. Onana, Dallo, Maguire, Evans, and then Licha left back today, which not sure how did you feel about that?
It threw me off.
It's needs must, right?
Oh yes, yeah. I honestly thought when I saw the lineup it was going to be a back three.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, I like that. That's
because you can't trust Foot Mob all the time when you're looking at the formation because they're idiots sometimes.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, that's going to be great. Yeah. And then him as a left back doesn't suit me. I like him in the center. Not when
Onana's pinging these balls out to him and he's like 5'9" and you've got wingers coming up who are clearly taller than him. So, we tried that a couple times. It just wasn't. He's a little. It is what it is. Yeah. City started the game, I thought, well. They pressed us a lot. There were youngsters that led a lot of youngsters, and then Haaland up front. They were pressing us a lot, putting pressure on Evans and Maguire, which is what you have to do with those guys. They're not comfortable on the ball. They're a little slow on the turn. And then they would inevitably pass it back to Onana quite frequently, and then the press would continue.
Yeah. That's one good thing with Onana is that he doesn't falter under the pressure as much. De Gea would have just wilted. That's just not De Gea's thing.
And that's what I've said many times. When we sign Onana, a lot of people would say, well, we just signed him because he can pass. And I'm like, no. We signed him because he's comfortable in those situations. Like De Gea ran back to the dressing room and just left the ball. And I love De Gea, but I'm just saying.
Same thing. Like, I think we did him dirty with how he left, but
he finally got a club though.
Fiorentina
has confirmed. He's been chilling for a year, but big up David De Gea for getting back in it. Are Fiorentina in Europe this year?
I think so. I can't remember which one.
Could be a reunion. We'll never know.
Yeah.
So because of the press, because the defenders and the way we were playing, we did struggle to get out of our half really in the first part of the first half. A lot of rusty touches, a lot of rusty passing. It's going to be expected from both. And that was from both teams because everybody's coming back. Some of these players like Bruno, Garnacho, these guys, it's their first match since playing in the Euros and the Copa America. So it is. It did nearly cost us about 25 minutes in. Licha and Evans, because not familiar position, little misplaced pass. City grabbed it on the edge of our box. Could have had a goal. It is what it is. I did like what I was seeing from Ahmad. He was getting advanced high up, wide open. The switch was onto him pretty much the entire first half. It's frustrating that we weren't finding him as much because I know we have it in our locker.
Yep, and they I see that sometimes where they miss those balls over the top to get it to the switch. And
is that an intentional thing by Ten Hag to like not? Because I know Dutch managers tend to like the high percentage pass, not the low percentage long ball. But what's been so frustrating with sometimes, even when counterattacking, is that when the opportunity is there, sometimes it's almost like we're forcing ourselves not to take it. So do you think that's tactical? Or you think it's just rust still?
some of it's rust, but I do think I remember during the season last year, they weren't pinging it as much towards those sides. Later in the season, you would see them ping it more, and you saw more success down those wings. And I think right now, if they go back to that, they'll have a little more success because you've got speedy wingers. You've got Ahmad, you've got Garnacho, you got Rashford.
And they're good. Like
exactly
when they get the ball, we saw like whenever Ahmad got the ball, whenever Garnacho came on, like they inevitably took it from where they received it and got into the box and caused problems.
So I'm hoping I still think it's tactical right now. I'm hoping it changes as time goes on.
Yeah, and I don't mind the playing out from the back thing. Like efficiency wise, in terms of maintaining possession, it's actually statistically better than just obviously hoofing it long. I would like us to maybe utilize those switches plays, those counterattacking opportunities, those long balls, because Onana's got that in his log. We've seen it last season. He could put that on a dime for Garnacho. We've seen it before. I just think that discernment, there's a time and a place. It's not just like a Mourinho where that's your plan A, B, and C, but like if you're playing somebody set piece, they put a ball in the box and you grab it and your wingers are booking it, find them. That's United. That's classic United.
There was, and just skipping ahead just a little bit second half because I got more of the second half. There was a perfect one in the 85th minute. They missed. Garnacho was by himself. Yeah, and that could have been two. And
it could have. It's hard. It is. I mean, it's again. It's preseason. It's Community Shield, but it is what it is. I thought Casemiro looked really good today, especially he's higher up the pitch. I said the other day when Casemiro was higher up the pitch, when he's not relied upon for recovery, for being that like back line of defense. If the other team gets a counterattack, he looks much better when he doesn't have to almost worry about that. Because when he does, he's a card basically waiting to happen. We saw him guilty of that today. He went to ground a little bit, kind of. It looked like a slide tackle, but he was just on his ass. But it looked like he was trying to make a tackle. But I did think he looked up. He had that link-up chance with Ahmad in like the 31st minute. Really good one-touch play. Our one-touch play, is even towards the last half of the season last year, was starting to look very, very good in and around the box. It was just boom, boom, boom. And then it's just a lack of finishing sometimes that kills us. Or it's just one extra touch that allows the opposition to get back into shape. But I thought Casemiro looked really, and that's, I think when you have a player, the same with Evans, it's just knowing what to do in certain situations because of how long they've been playing. And I think that's what we get from guys like Casemiro, like we got from Varane and Evans, because we saw that from Evans today as well. He just knows where to be. But it's just a shame that in the area of the pitch that we really got Casemiro for, that he's known for, he's just, it's like it's passed him by a little bit.
Yeah.
Who's getting involved in the chat here? Danny B, man. 4-2-4 aggressive press caused City trouble. They were forced longs at times, but it has to be consistent. It got lazy at times from Rashford. Yeah. Surprise, surprise, which forced Kabi and Cass out of position. Rashford, he had his spurts where he was willing to press and get involved and track back even, but you can tell that it's just not what he wants to do.
Yeah.
It's not his natural thing.
I mean, sorry, this just rubs me the wrong way. It's just because you don't want to.
I get it.
Out there.
And I get it. And you and I were talking before, and we'll talk a little bit about Rashford. But for us right now, Rashford's the one who's got a point to prove. Yeah. If I was picking the starting 11 for Fulham, and you and I both agreed, it'd be Garnacho on the left, Ahmad on the right, and Rashford on the bench. To me, Rashford's – because, again, I'll say it time and time again, a manager does not owe anything to players that they didn't sign or promote. Louis van Gaal promoted Rashford. I'm not saying Rashford's bad. That's not me saying that. But it's like total football means – offense, defense, basically the same time at all times. You have to be willing to track back. And if you won't, then we'll find someone who does. And I'm sure we don't have a problem with that. The problem is, even if it hurts the team long run, I think Rashford, because he's like the talisman of United, that's going to be a battle if and when it gets to that point. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Danny B continues, on the ball, first phase was horrible. Slab and Evans can't do it. They are too hesitant and look confused with the system that killed Leach's role at left back. Yeah, we looked a little better when I say better. So when Leach moved back into center back second half, it was a little more comfortable. Yeah. Dallo looked like it shook him a little bit to put over the left back. So
he can cover left back, but he doesn't look as comfortable. In an emergency, I'm fine with it. And kind of was an emergency today, but we definitely need a left back. We need a midfielder. Yeah, those are two things we got to look at.
The Shaw thing is frustrating for a lot of people, especially with the news that he wasn't going to be ready. Not because the member said it wasn't necessarily that he's injured; he's just not match fit because he was at the Euro. He's in the final. It is what it is. But I think a lot of people for that, it's that you're not fit all season, and then you show up for the Euros, and it's kind of like Rashford that one season where he needed the surgery, he wanted to go to the Euros, he pushed the surgery back. Very, very frustrating. But we pay their wages, and so it's frustrating. Club before country, never forget it. Danny B, Cass just needs to stay disciplined and stick to the game plan. He can be good with two real center backs behind him and wingers who will run all day. Yeah, I think Cass.
He needs those wingers to run, and if Rashford's not going to do it, that you're going to have problems on that side.
Casemiro's one-touch no-look pass across the pitch, god awful, never again. Casemiro's one-touch no-look pass up the pitch, thing of beauty. All day he was making it rain to those wingers to get up on the it was beautiful. I made notes of it. It was awesome. We had that good chance with that link up. It's too bad Mount wasn't quite awake for it. I don't think anybody was really expecting Ahmad to pass. I think I would have almost preferred Ahmad to shoot. So I'm not going to blame Mount too much for that because Ahmad probably really should have just opened his body and put it in with his left. But it is what it is. I almost forgot that Mount was playing today.
I heard nothing about him because I missed most of the first half. And then I was like, oh, yeah, he was out there.
Yeah, he wasn't doing a whole lot for me.
Talk about another player that needs a prove it season. I know Roy Keane. I think Twitter or one of the social media
overlap or something.
Yeah, and he was saying injuries just derail things. You can't get in a groove. I get that, but even when he was out there, he didn't show a whole lot.
Yeah,
and so I want to see Chelsea Mason Mount from that Champions League run that they had.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
I think for me, Mount and Rashford. Yes, it's preseason, but where I hold them to a different standard than the guys who are returning, like Garnacho and Bruno, is that Mount and Rashford have pretty much been playing throughout the preseason. They should be a lot more alert, a lot more match ready, match fit, prepared than these other players. But Garnacho comes on second half, and it was like when Ahmad started the preseason, it just looked like he's never lost a step.
Yeah.
So to me, Mount shouldn't have too much of an excuse. Again, the only excuse I gave him in that instance is he probably wasn't expecting it. I wouldn't have expected it, but it is what it is. It sounds like Ahmad's maybe that was Ahmad just trying to get Mount involved, or maybe I don't know, but Ahmad should have taken that himself. But some really good, solid one-touch football in the final third. Just lacked a little of that polish in the final touch. City started that first half very strong, and then it sort of finished with us kind of with the momentum. And again, Casemiro quietly had a really good first half. It was kind of like watching Michael Carrick. I oftentimes say that the telltale sign of a really good holding midfield, defensive midfielder is when you don't really notice them a whole lot, but then when you go back and look at the numbers, you're like, oh damn.
Oh yeah.
Like Statman Dave put out a tweet after that first half talking about Casemiro. The guy's passing was like 90% passing. He won like most of his duels, most of his tackles. He had that one good chance with Ahmad. Like he actually was like as an 8, maybe Casemiro might be having more to offer than as a 6. But I thought that good half from Casemiro. It's good to see. I think that he needed it. We deserve to see it. I think that our patience was running a little thin. Obviously, a lot of transfer sagas with him. Saudi League, maybe we're going to who knows? But it sounds like he could have a part to play. But we will see. Danny B says Rashford can't start anymore. Rashford has a point to prove.
Yep.
Rashford for me right now is that guy you're going to be like, yeah, you can start when we play like Oxford in the League Cup in like January, but right now it's Garnacho ahead of you in the pecking order, my guy.
And it has to be. If looking at pure form, Ahmad and Garnacho are heads and tails.
Yeah. Above. I think a lot of people are criticizing Rashford for the way his form has dipped since that new contract. Basically, he had that really good season, new contract, and then hopefully he can kick on. I know he was putting in the minutes, training on his own. He's been featuring. It just you look lively. It just Rashford. I think Rashford. What bugs me is that he gets frustrated so easily. When things aren't going well, when people aren't linking up, when something, his hands go up, he's slapping his thighs, he puts his head down, and it's just like he looks like he just kind of gives up after the first couple mistakes.
I can add to that later with something we're going to talk about. That's exactly what I would say about Rashford.
So don't forget, we are doing the awards after we recap the Community Shield. If you are watching, just hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new and you guys are watching as we continue with the second half. So Bruno kind of came alive in the second half. Really well taken shot that sadly was ruled offside, but a really well taken shot, really well placed. Beat Ederson. I'm just going to let you finish, but David De Gea in his prime would have saved that, my guy. But Shame it was offside, but it is what it is. We did go up a gear, I think, in that second half. Yeah. I think we stepped it up. People were getting lively.
Well, I'm watching the highlights. It just kind of felt like the first half was a feel it out.
Yeah.
How are we going to do? Where are we going to be at?
Yeah, then, both teams. Are we going to go for this and probably risk injuries, or are we just going to feel comfortable with it? I think.
And then United seemed like they're like, all right, let's go for this.
Yeah.
We got a chance. So.
Yeah, I think it almost got to me like, and even as I was watching, I was like, man, City don't really feel like they're threatening. Haaland was toothless. He's not really doing much. These youngsters, they have energy, but you could tell they're not quite
That's how I
up
felt.
for it. I thought City were getting away with a little bit of fouling that I think should have been called a little more, but that's been the story preseason the whole time. Ahmad looked dangerous whenever he got on the ball.
Yep.
When we did find him, he was just getting it into the box. He finds a way to get into the box and cause problems. And he's either going to get a shot off, laid off, or he's going to get a foul. Like he's going to draw a foul. Like that's what you're going to see from Ahmad. Saw some subs in the 58th minute. Made a couple subs. So that's when McTominay, Sancho, Collier, and Pellistri came on. I forgot about Pellistri. Forgot he was still here. He obviously was put it right back. And then we took off Ahmad, Mount, Maguire, and Mainu, which I don't mind taking off Mainu, especially.
No, he needs the break. Like, not saying he's not young and he can't do it, but we got to protect him. Like he is that future.
Yeah,
him, Garnacho, Hoyland, Collier, all them. They are the future. We got to protect them as best we can.
Interesting formation, positional changes. So McTominay kind of played as that number 10 a little bit, and Bruno was kind of the 9 basically the whole match. Dalot moved the left back, Licha moved the center back, and Pellistri played as the right back against Jeremy Doku. After Doku was causing all sorts of problems for Dalot, we put Pellistri. And what happened after we did that?
So we get that goal, we go one up, and then Pellistri is what 5'5".
Yeah,
he just doesn't have the height. It's not that he doesn't try. I think there's a player in there.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have the height, he doesn't have the strength, and he got bullied by Bernardo Silva.
And he's not a defender, so I'll give him that. It is what it is. The ball, our fullbacks have a hard time preventing the cross from getting put into the box in the first place. We've seen that for years, and that's not a Ten Hag thing. And it's the same with how our fullbacks get caught sleeping at the far post. They get pulled too centrally. For some reason, that has been an issue. Even when Ollie was here, I look at Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, and far too often they want to worry about the players in the middle, but they're leaving these players wide open, the wide areas, and it's super frustrating. But what a touch from Bruno! Did you see that ball?
That ball!
That was that first time ball from Casemiro, and Bruno could have, if that were even an egg, Bruno would have taken that down, no problem.
It's that side-footed pass out to the right. That pass beautiful. From Garnacho.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So it's too bad that Bruno took that shot. It was not a great shot. Rashford, the square ball to Rashford was the play there, but it is what it is. And then immediately City got a counter, and what a recovery tackle from Licha. Did you see that?
Oh, that was awesome.
Like we've missed that.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Licha. He's got that dog in him for one, but he's like we've seen so many times when he wasn't here, when we're caught in these defensive situations, nobody really takes the initiative.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. We lose that initiative. Yeah. We lose the wherewithal to go for it.
And he's just like, well, it needed to be taken care of, so I'm just going to take care of it.
Yeah.
It's Vidic all over again.
And we need those type of players.
We need players who are not going to just shirk responsibility, who are not going to be timid, who are just going to take over in the moment and do what needs to be done. So it is what it is. I'm going to jump into this live chat real quick to get caught up here. Danny B, technical ability of Ahmad and the killer instinct of Garnacho. Garnacho woke up today and showed his violence. Like he came on.
He looked. Oh man, he looked like $100 million player.
He had nothing on his mind but scoring today. It was, I'm going to cut in and I'm going to show Anthony how this looks when it gets done right.
On his left foot too.
On his left foot, like he was doing it. Macmillan says, "Why is Christian Eriksen sitting there?" He's a little jet lagged because he's coming from Manchester, but yeah. And this is my buddy Dylan. He's joining me today. That's been a long running joke since I've known Dylan for the last couple years.
So you guys know.
Yeah, he is rocking the Eriksen shirt today. So yeah, he is a spitting image of Christian Eriksen, and we do love it. We do give him stick for it, but he is awesome. Danny B, if Xerxes played instead of McSauce, he would have definitely scored one and got the assist for Garnacho. McSauce, we'll talk a little bit about McSauce a little later. We'll reserve that for a little later. Danny B thought he found his new position until he got founded on the back post. Yeah, right. I mean, I think, and that's the thing I think most people overlook with Ten Hag is he'll try to get players in. He tried with Sancho.
Yep.
He played him as an 8. He played him in the 10. He tries to get players in when
Anthony is the left back.
Well,
I know.
Anthony wasn't quite happy about it. I mean, I can't.
He's another one.
Anthony's not going to live down that photo of him so angry when he was coming on that one day. He looked like a little kid throwing a tantrum. Like,
thank you.
Like
that's how I felt.
And you're a teacher, so you know. You're like,
I was sitting there. I'm like, man up. Like, come on now. You're getting on the field. Your coach is asking you to do something. Yeah, it might not like it, but you're on the field and you're there to win.
Do what needs to be done, right?
You're getting paid $100 and some odd $1,000 per week. Come on, or pounds. Yeah.
Right. Darkro, welcome back to the channel, my guy. Says big up. Mac, bring the news, Danny B. Everybody's getting it up. Big up to your buddy. Any Eric Ten Hag criticism for today's game? We're going to do a overall recap after. I'm just going through the second half highlights and the key points right now. So we'll move on a little bit here. So that recovery tackle from Licha to stop Mateus Nunes, who everybody, if you remember, City did sign Mateus Nunes because that's what you get to do at City. Kevin De Bruyne is out for a little bit, or we're just going to go grab another $60 million player and never play him.
Yeah.
Calvin Phillips. That's just the way City works. And you can do that at City, you know? I mean, they're probably killing a whole rainforest worth of brown envelopes at the end of the day, but you can do that. You can't do that at United.
No.
We can't sell players. We have to work with players from 3-4 managers ago. Like, that's just who we are. So, 75th minute, really good counterattack chance for us. It was a perfect square ball from Garnacho to find Rashford, who, again, just bad technique.
Yeah. I was watching the game with a friend, and he's like, he could have taken a touch because the goalkeeper was already diving. Ederson's already going down.
Yeah.
Could have just taken that little touch and hit it in. But I think it's a confidence thing for Rashford now.
Could be.
I don't know, but it's like he's got to prove it, and he's got to show us. And I don't know if he's in his own head. I don't know. But
his finishing has been slow. We saw it like against Liverpool in the FA Cup. He had that perfect opportunity to kind of put the game away in regular time. And again, similar to his first chance today, just I can see what he's doing. He's opening his body, but I think he does that a little too much. So I saw a clip a while back of Diego Maradona meeting up with Harry Kane. This was probably like 10 years ago. And he said to Harry Kane because Harry Kane used to do this all the time. He used to open up his body and always go far post. And Maradona said, go near post sometimes. When Harry Kane started doing that, started scoring more goals. Don't be afraid to go near post. Rashford's got the power. I think I trust Rashford's power on the shot more than I trust his placement.
Yeah.
And so you have it.
Well, so.
And we've seen Ederson get done by near post. Like one of Bruno's early matches was at Manchester Derby, and we had that free kick. And
that was awesome.
He put that right over to Martial. And Martial near post went right underneath Ederson. So it is what it is. But good chance, good square ball from Garnacho. It just Rashford really should be doing better. Like I said, he's played a lot preseason. We know that he can. It is what it is. He did get involved in the corner that we had a couple minutes later, put that ball back into the area, and McTominay nearly poked it home.
He should have. I think he tried to go right-footed. He should have left-footed it. Yeah. But it's one of those things in the moment you're trying it. It hurts. It hurts to watch, but
that's what I say about McTominay. When he's steaming into the area, when he's making these late runs, when he's got his head down and he's booking it, that's when he's dangerous. He's got a really good shot. Just not a whole lot else that he does offer. So then we get a goal from Garnacho, 82nd minute. Really good goal, similar to what he was doing since he came on, cutting in, beating multiple players. And then, again, Ederson, near post, low to the ground. That's like the most dangerous way to beat a lot of keepers, I feel, because you can jump, but you can't control how fast you fall. You can't change gravity. So I think a good low-driven shot.
And that could be something that the announcers were talking about that. Is United setting a blueprint for how to beat City?
Yeah.
Well, if people are watching, I know that's. But the thing with Ederson, if he's going to have trouble with those low shots, that might be something for people to take advantage of.
There was some of those rumors that Ederson might have been getting some interest in the Saudi league. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Pep to just get to go buy another keeper, but it sounds like he's sticking around. So it is what it is. Danny B says, only criticism I'd say about Ten Hag is subbing on McSauce instead of Xerxes. I mean, good, fair point.
Yep. I actually thought Xerxes was going to come on about 70, 80 minutes and, go for it in the win, and didn't happen. But
it could have easily dropped Bruno back through Xerxes up top. I mean, you even could have flipped him because Xerxes he did say recently, he does kind of play kind of a 9.5, a 10. He's got an interesting kind of position as a striker, kind of like a Bobby Firmino kind of player. But Darko says Ten Hag has his favorites. Yeah, and Danny B, you're exactly right. Other than that, other than the loss, obviously we did lose in the shootout, but we were the better side.
Oh yeah,
pretty much the whole second half, especially. Oh, you got some transfer news. Yeah, I don't know if I saw a little bit of those rumors earlier about Evan Ferguson. I don't know how I feel about that. We just signed that young guy from Arsenal. We just signed Xerxes. But I do like Ferguson. McMillan says Xerxes wasn't match fit. I know Ten Hag said recently that he wasn't as fit. He only trained once with the rest of the squad before this. So it was interesting to see that he traveled and then he was included in the match day squad. I was curious. I thought he would for sure have come on late in the second half.
That's where I would have been like 10 minutes, even if you're not match fit. I think you can give 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But especially if you know there's not going to be extra time.
Because now he's got to come on cold against Fulham, maybe. So, unless we somehow squeeze in some sort of behind closed doors friendly this week, which we have done in the past.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't put it past us, but we'll see what happens. We had that chance for that header. McTominay comes steaming in. Garnacho gets his goal. Another opportunity, round 2 for Garnacho to totally, completely humiliate 100 million pound Vardiol on defense, just burying City's defenders left and right coming in there. That was a thing of beauty.
Oh, so nice.
I mean, he literally had Vardiol pulling a Van Dijk, just bent over, standing off, hands behind his back. Like, you remember that goal that Sancho scored against Liverpool when became
love that.
That's a sack-worthy offense right now to let Jadon Sancho turn you into a meme. By the way, what a piece of shit Bernardo Silva is, by the way.
Right?
That late elbow on Garnacho. Yeah. What an asshole. Little dick.
I originally thought Garnacho was going to get the card there, and then they were going to get another one just for because I didn't quite see it when they went through. But then when he pushed him, I was like, come on, red card. Like, where's that going to be?
I didn't see it in real time. I saw the replay, and the replay you could clearly see Garnacho passes that ball, and literally several seconds later, Silva only has eyes for fouling him.
Yeah, and come on, VAR.
It's Darkrow says Kane listened to Maradona and did what he said. Would Rashford listen to anyone? I mean, Rashford might have listened to Ollie. I mean,
he
loved Ollie, but I think that's because Ollie basically made the team around Rashford at some point. But it was some weak defending, like we've said, for City's equalizer in the box. Weak to allow that cross to get in. Weak for the defending. I'm not going to go too hard in on Pellistri. No. It is what it is. I was a little frustrated with Onana for kind of being rooted to the near post when the ball was going wide. I mean,
he didn't seem like he tracked that as well as he should.
I don't think maybe he was clicking that, Pellistri's here and not like
somebody
an actual defender. I don't even think he knew that Pellistri was even a United player still.
Yeah.
But can't blame Pellistri too much. Obviously, it's 1-1 after 490. We go to the shootout. I think we should have won based on the chances we created. We created, I think, in my opinion, better chances than City. It's just bad finishing.
Yep.
Hopefully, it's the end of failing to convert the easy chances.
Yes.
Because we know we have a history of that, and it's bitten us in the ass. And it's been like that for years. When we had Pogba and everybody's still here, or even when Ibrahimovic was here, we would get these chances and we'd hit the woodwork and wouldn't get them. And it does cost us points. And I hope that we were hoping for a clinical finisher. Højlund is a clinical finisher.
He is.
Like his conversion rate is one of the best in the Premier League. You give him the ball and he scores. So it's just having some.
And Ruud being a coach now too. I think that is going to help.
Ruud, there's some talk that people think Ruud is in line to be the next manager if things don't work out.
I don't know.
Well, maybe that's a video for another day. But hopefully nip that in the bud. It was a weak pen in the shootout from birthday boy Bernardo Silva. You're not supposed to give other people presents on your birthday, bud. You just gave that to Onana. I don't mind Onana's shithousery in the shootout. Did you see some of that?
Oh yeah,
I have no problem.
I loved it.
I don't mind.
I love when goalkeepers do that because that's part of the game.
Emi Martinez is like, when I think of shithousery now, I just think of Emi Martinez. Like,
I know where you're going
all the time.
I know what you're doing.
Like some of the stuff Emi Martinez gets away with is just insane. Very weak pen from Sancho.
Yeah, and as I was watching the pens, I was watching him go up. Everybody else looked confident.
Yep.
He did not.
Yeah.
And that was I could kind of tell when that was going through.
And that's what I was saying. So I was were you at the Coventry City match? at
No,
Loaded
I was
Dice?
not.
So you weren't there. That's what I said. So I put a note in here. If you go, I said the exact same thing about Casemiro in that shootout. If you go back and watch the semifinal against Coventry, Casemiro, I think, was the first penalty taker, and it zoomed in on his face. And I told, I forget the guy's name now. I've only met him a couple times. I told him he's going to miss this. He doesn't want to take this. And he did. If you go back and watch that shootout, compare it to the kick he took today, night and day difference. He had his run up was like 10 yards. You could tell he was up for it.
And Sancho's run up was short. And I thought that was weird. Everybody else had steps back.
Yeah.
He didn't look confident, and you could tell when that went through. And
that's, it's similar. He just didn't. Yeah, you can't. That's the same. It was the same short run up as Bernardo Silva, which is you don't get any power. You're relying a lot on placement, but you do need a bit of power and a penalty. You do.
Exactly.
It isn't just a roll the dice. I have a book back here somewhere about penalty kicks. That's really good. If you guys call 12 yards, go check it out by Ben Littleton. He's one of my favorite football authors. And then unlucky for Johnny Evans to sky that. This is why center backs don't take pens, but it is what it is. He's going to be like my age this year, and don't make jokes. But he's been a servant. He got that 1 year extension. He was arguably one of our just hardest working, almost like the best, one of our better players last season. So it's a community shield at the end of the day. Obviously, you want to win. It's at Wembley, but I think we can all take some pluses from the performance.
I like what we see with the young players. I like the wing play that we saw. I think there's a lot to look at and say there's positives there.
And we didn't get any injuries, which to me is all I wanted going in. Just that's a win huge. For me. That's huge. Like I said against Liverpool the other day, if we lose 87-0, but we don't get any injuries, cool. I'm celebrating. I'm going to get drunk. It is what it is. Some overall thoughts on the match, the performance. Did anybody stick out to you today as good, bad, or something? Just
Ahmad, Garnacho. I thought they played Casemiro. I thought they played really well. Bruno turned it on. I thought he, especially in the second half, his play turned up. I thought Evans did better once Leach was next to him.
Yeah.
I noticed that when I got there, and after I watched the highlights from the first half, it looked like Evans felt more confident with Leach, and I think I get the feeling that he's doesn't quite trust Harry. Maybe.
Well, when you have, and the whole thing about center backs, right? When you have a pair, it's what's the word we hear a lot? Complement each other. When you have two center backs that are basically carbon copies of the way they play, their build, their limitations. That's difficult. You don't have someone who can make up for the deficiencies, and it's not saying they're bad. It's just you just can't. It's like having two Lukakus as your only strikers. Like you have to have something a little different to complement. So let me get caught up with this chat because y'all are chatty and I love it. Let me get caught up here. So Danny B, you want to say how well Collier played too when he came on? Yeah, Collier did well. He had some really good one-touch passing. It was getting I felt like it was getting a little congested in the midfield at times with our players. It was like they were getting in each other's way now and then. I think a lot of that had to do for me was when McTominay was dropping back to like his habitual role and not the 9 or the 10 that he was kind of placed. And so he was kind of getting in people's ways a little bit. But I like Collier. He's had a good preseason.
Yes.
What we got here? Oops, I just pressed the button on accident. My bad, guys. Macmillan says, I think Xerxes starts at the Theater of Dreams. Dutch Ronaldinho making the Stretford end, moist with his flair and skill, and them all slipping off their seats. Macmillan, is that black United shirt from 94-95 season? Got Lee Sharp number 5 etched in my head with that shirt on. Gosh, giving away. Yeah, this is one of my favorites. I actually have, you can't see it on the camera. So this one right here, this is my Cantona shirt. It's up here on this top frame. That was my first shirt I got when I was really, really young. I didn't really even know what United was. My dad just traveled. He was doing accounting work, and he went over, and then he got me a shirt. I played soccer when I was young, so I don't think he even really knew what it was all about. It was just one of those things, so I got it. But I have it. I still have it. It's in my frame. It is what it is. There's a lot more over here too. Dylan can see. I probably spent a lot more money on jerseys than I need to, but it is what it is. 94-95. So again, like you and I were talking about, this match kind of showed how important center backs who are comfortable on the ball are to Ten Hag's system.
Yes.
Like we said, the limitations of Evans and Maguire against, especially early on in the match against that press from City, they just didn't really know what to do. It did look a little better when Leach came on. At least it felt like you're saying like Evans knew that if he got in trouble, he had a reliable outlet. Kind of like Casemiro at Madrid, he knows that if he just play that square ball, Modric or Kroos are going to be there. With the right players, we can play out from the back.
Oh, yeah.
I do think we need to move the ball a little faster. We need to be just, especially against a pressing team, because we're causing unnecessary problems for ourselves when we're not moving the ball fast. So I don't mind playing out in the back, but we need to do it just a little quicker, less touches. Obviously, we didn't play with a striker today. But obviously, we're gonna moving forward. I just think it sounds like Ten Hag, and that's one of my main criticisms of Ten Hag, and I think you guys touched upon it, is he can be a little timid when it comes to fitness. I think that there's it's okay to everyone's always got knocks. There's a lot of the former players will tell you,
especially late in the season, when things are going on. So
nobody plays 100% fit. I think that Ten Hag could, and I don't know if it's a Dutch thing, because I know Dutch managers that we've had have tended to be a little strict when it comes to fitness, position, tactics, and things. I think he could stand to loosen up a little bit in that regard. But without that focal point, we're relying a little bit on some of the wingers who weren't quite up, except for Ahmad.
I did think that hurt us, especially with McTominay kind of dropping back.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have Højlund in the middle, that changes things. I know Højlund wasn't available, but that's why you throw in Xerxes. Maybe something changes. So.
I think Xerxes could have helped in the build up as well. Again, pressed with Casemiro today. I think this could be a big year for Garnacho.
I do too.
From what we've seen, obviously he's getting better. And today, I mean, he looked just like this was his first match since Copa America, and he looked 100 times better than Rashford, who's been playing all preseason and didn't have to go play in the Euros. So I think Garnacho wants that number 7 shirt.
I think he does too.
I think that number 7 shirt could be Garnacho's in another year or so of Mason Mount. I mean, we've seen it happen before. People do get the numbers taken. Valencia famously gave away the 7 because he didn't like the pressure and everything. So I don't have a problem with taking it from Mount. I don't have a problem with selling Mount. If this is a big season for Mount.
Exactly. That's what we mentioned. So
this is my Anthony season for Mount. I gave Anthony 2 seasons. I said, okay, first season, it is what it is. Second season, he's got a lot to prove. I know Mount's had injuries, but I need to see something from Mount. I need to know why we bought him. Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I'm still not convinced Ten Hag wanted him.
You don't think so?
I get the feeling that he was there, and who was the head of football before the Ineos group came in, the guy they let go.
Oh, we had Arnold Murtaugh.
Murtaugh.
Yeah.
And I was like, I get the feeling Murtaugh saw it and kind of was like, hey, he can help us. And
we know that. So Ten Hag did want to sign Mount on loan way back when at Ajax when he was at Chelsea, because Mount went on loan at Vitesse for a while. So there's a little bit of that connection. I do think that, it is one of those star kind of signings. So I could easily see that being like let's get this guy in. McMillan says we should be getting Desiree Dewey. Isn't he going to, where's he? I feel like he was linked with Bayern, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think that we have 6 wingers right now, McMillan. I don't know. We would need to sell wingers to get another winger. I know Desiree Dewey can play as a 10 as well.
We can talk about that with the wingers, because we do have too many.
We have a lot of wingers. I clocked that yesterday. I said in last night's video when I looked at the traveling squad, I was like, man, we have a lot of wingers. We don't I'm not saying all of them are great. I'm just saying we have a lot. They're just there. So it is what it is. But again, no injuries. Call that a win. Against Fulham, I might start Garnacho and Ahmad. And
I totally would.
Bench Rashford. Let him come on and see and make him have a point to prove. So those are our thoughts. Did you have any final thoughts on the Community Shield?
Nope. Overall, I'm just happy we didn't get injured. I know it sucks that we didn't win, but I'll take it. I thought it was a good effort. I thought, we saw a lot of grit from some of the players.
Yeah.
So
good match, I think, for the crowd. I mean, to go and watch it. It's a Manchester derby. Yes, it's a friendly, but people were getting stuck in. There were some good attacking opportunities. I felt like it was a good match, at least for the neutral anyway. So now we're going to jump into the nitty gritty, jump into obviously the thumbnail, the big reason for everyone's here today. We are going to be doing our player awards. I know I've said this has been a couple months in the making. I wanted to do it way back when. You just pick up injuries. It is what it is. I mean, now my house is basically just stairs, which when you have torn ligaments in your foot is not possible. They tried to give me crutches, and I'm like, you guys are trying to work. You guys are trying to get job security. You're trying to make me come back here, because I will die if I try to go up and down these stairs in crutches. Before we do get started in the award show, guys, if you're all watching along, go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Get involved in the chat as we go through these. I'm going to take a little time to go through them. I'm going to give you guys a chance to respond live in the chat. Danny says we're talking about Due. My number one wing target. If we sold Sancho, he can play mid. Yeah, he can play number 10 too. Due is highly rated. We just have too many players and we can't sell them. But we've gone through that many times in many videos. Yep. We know the reasons why. If we all see Ed Woodward on the street, give him a quick kick in the shin. So season awards. Remember, I've been talking to you guys leading up all week, reminding you to come by today. You guys remember the awards that I listed. So we're going to go through them all, list them all real quick. So get your picks ready. We got worst refereeing decision, player of the season. We've got moment of the season, not necessarily goal, but moment. And then we do have goal of the season. And then I've got a couple of surprise questions I'll throw out there towards the end. So let's start off the categories with worst refereeing decision. So get involved in the chat if you guys are here. So the number one option, Michael Oliver gives Diogo Dalot a second yellow against Liverpool. You guys remember that match?
Oh, yeah.
So it was at Anfield. Dalot and Salah running down the wing, trying to recover that ball. They shoulder it. It goes off Salah's foot. Michael Oliver, who we all love very, very much, gives the throw Liverpool's way. Dalot raises his hand, throws his fit, and gets a yellow. He was still frustrated. I can't tell if it was just the overall frustration that continued or if he said something to the ref because the camera angles are all over the place. But literally same moment, same play, Oliver gives him a second yellow. He's sent off. Like, Michael Oliver just loves to be the star, doesn't he?
Which is where I have a problem because he didn't even account for the first yellow card going through. It's like he immediately jumped to the second one. You're not supposed to do that. That was a terrible decision.
And we have referees like even Howard Webb in the past that said we like to take the occasion in the consideration, the moment. Like this Liverpool United at Anfield. Like Michael Oliver, we famous Champions League, Juventus, Real Madrid, sends off Gianluigi Buffon. Yeah. Michael Oliver has a weird complex where he just can't handle being challenged. And whenever he gets challenged, rightfully so or not, he's quick to show a card.
And like I said, that was just that decision didn't necessarily affect us that game because we still ended up drawing, but we lose the next game 2-0 to West Ham at London Stadium. I mean, that Dalot plays that may change things. So.
Yeah, so we all know at this point what we can expect from Michael Oliver. He's just the way he is. Next option for that, Marcus Rashford receives a straight red from referee Donatas Rumsas against FC
Great
Copenhagen.
Job with that name.
Gesundheit, right? So this was actually Justin's pick. Justin, the other guy who's supposed to be here today, this was his pick for worst to see. And this one, to me, another ridiculous call. Rashford has the ball. He's the attacking player. He's in possession of the ball. He's being pressured by a Copenhagen player. He steps over the ball to shield it, as you're taught to do when you're super young. And he catches the Copenhagen player on the ankle with his studs, basically. It wasn't a tackle. Nope. It wasn't even a challenge. It was Rashford stepping to shield the ball.
It wasn't even deliberate. He's just, like you're saying, he's trying to step in, shield the ball.
Was it high? Yeah, it was high. Was it accidental? Absolutely. And keep in mind, too, and the thing that I think really shows how controversial this was how much was talked about it after by pundits. There's so much pundits, ex-players, they all disagreed on the red card. Jamie Carragher even admitted it was harsh. And, you know, if Jamie Carragher is backing you as a United player, you got, like, the referee needs to go take a look at himself. That was not a fun the sooner we could forget about United's Champions League run last season, the better. That Galatasaray match that I went to was disgusting. Moving on, Amad Diallo shown a second yellow by John Brooks after removing his shirt to celebrate his winner to knock Liverpool out of the FA Cup. So do you remember that one? What was introduced this year? Ref Watch. You guys watch any of this Ref Watch bullshit? Dermot, who I never even knew him before Ref Watch, really, but now he's like one of my most hated footballing personalities, just for the sheer nonsense he spouts about these decisions. He claims, so according to Dermot Gallagher, if you go back and watch that, he claims this rule was introduced because taking one's shirt off is seen as offensive in some parts of the world. That was his explanation for why this rule itself was introduced in the first place. Not like, oh, you're embarrassing the opponent, you're riling up the fans. No, and I'm not trying to be like not sensitive, like insensitive to other cultures, but the rule was invented because some cultures somewhere who happen to be watching the game would be offended by this. I've been to places where it is offensive. Like in Honduras, we were told when I was on a mission trip not to take the shirt off, like even if it was hot and stuff. Okay. I get it. But you know what else is offensive, Dermot? Being a fucking moron. Yeah. That's what's offensive.
it's part of football culture. You get excited to do something like that. I mean, think of the iconic one we saw at the Women's World Cup.
Yeah. Ryan Giggs
doing it. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are iconic celebrations, and you ruin it by doing that. And you take something from it. Yes, I mean, there's this cultural sensitivity, but maybe you throw it back the other way with some other things. I remember Edinson Cavani's gaffe a few years ago, in England, and yet down in Argentina, or I'm sorry, Uruguay, perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So,
in this case, to me, it's more the fact that the rule itself is a stupid rule.
It's 100%.
I think it's one of the stupidest rules in football. But I think that, again, as we've seen in the last one, there are occasions that where you kind of let it go. This is an FA Cup against Liverpool to score the winner. Like, just, dude, come on, read the room, bro.
Yep.
How about the no pen awarded against Arsenal when Gabriel tackles Rasmus Højlund in the box? You remember that?
Yep.
So Rasmus takes a touch. He's got the ball, puts the ball past Gabriel, just doesn't completely. And he gets in the box. Gabriel steps in, doesn't even really look like he's trying to do anything other than pull him down. He's got his arm around him, pulls him down. They both go to ground, basically. No attempt to win the ball, basically tackles him. The fact that this was a penalty aside, we had a similar, the thing that pushes this for me is we had a similar incident go against us in a derby on a, I think it was a corner, where similar situation, Højlund's running in and Maguire just kind of steps across him and puts his arm up, and that was given as a penalty against us. So again, it's the fact that this is another clear indication of the inconsistencies in these decisions that kills it for me.
I think on that one, watching that back, I think the ref looked at that's just Højlund goes down too easily. But at the same time, rule of the law says, this, you're breaking the law here. So should have been something. No
attempt to win the ball.
Exactly.
Like anything and it's the fact that, again, cool. If you want to have that ruling on it, fine, but do it the rest of the freaking season.
But again, that changes momentum. We get that penalty. I mean, we lose the match 3-1.
Yeah.
I mean, that changes momentum. Maybe, we ruin more of Arsenal's season.
That was an annoying match.
Yeah.
Yes, Danny B says Eriksen soft handball versus Spine. Yeah, I remember that one. That was done. We get done because it happened Ten Hag's first season as well. The group stage of the Europa League, we had that bullshit handball from Licha against Sociedad.
Yep.
Came off his thigh,
which came up.
Literally not a handball, and it was still given. Offside for Garnacho. Don't get me started on the offside for Garnacho.
That one.
Oh, or the other one I could have put was the goal that was ruled off in Newcastle when they said it went over the line.
Yeah.
When Onana cleaned out most players. Danny, now you're just being mean.
Yeah.
Samian Garnacho goal wasn't offside. It was a huge result. Yeah, the Arsenal game was a lot closer than the scoreline makes it look. I don't think
100%.
I don't think Garnacho's goal was offside,
Nope.
and then it was about momentum, I think. But that was an instance of, I think, heads dropping. Zero resiliency. It was just like everything's going against us, nothing's working out. We're just gonna start slowing down.
And speaking of that, I mean, we had no penalty. We had the offside, like you say, heads drop, and then was it 88th minute? The Arsenal get the goal.
Yeah.
So
annoying. So we got another one here. This is everyone. You guys remember this one? The no handball pen awarded against Spurs for Christian Romero's handball from Garnacho taking that shot. You remember that? Garnacho's got the ball. It's just inside the Spurs box. Takes that shot with his right. Romero comes steaming in. He's got his arms raised like Raheem Sterling sprinting, and his shot is blocked by his raised arm. And he's like 2 or 3 yards away. So this one kept being brought up over and over again throughout the ceiling by fans, by pundits, because, again, similar to the no pen on Højlund, the same instances happening that ended up giving. Romero did the same thing against Arsenal, and the pen was awarded in that case. And so that I lost my shit. So
watching that one back, you can easily see it's not in a natural position. Should have been awarded. I don't understand that call. Besides, the Man United bias. So
yeah. And Danny B says we got screwed so many times when you bring these up, and that doesn't even touch upon this preseason.
No,
with some of the stuff that's happened preseason too. Yeah. So the final one, and this one is interesting because of it's kind of like this revolutionary call. McTominay's goal against Fulham is chalked off due to Maguire being subjectively offside. So let me give you context. We get a free kick about 20 yards outside of Fulham's box. It was on our right side. It's put to the back post. Good ball. Garnacho sends it back across the face of goal. McTominay taps it in, right? Simple, awesome. Love it. Set piece goal, bonus. No one is offside technically on the kick. So what you can actually look up the VAR audio for this, which I looked at. And so if you listen to the VAR audio, what they said was Maguire was impacting the Fulham defender's ability to play the ball. So the ref literally says, and I quote, he doesn't play the ball, so it's a subjective decision for me. Wow. So the reason this is on the list is because this is the first time we kind of really heard the whole subjective offside thing, which I don't understand how it can be subjective. You're either on or off.
Yeah. Because if we're going to leave individual decisions to each referee, it's going to be different. Yeah. And that's not fair.
What's the point of having laws of the game? Yeah. We've seen the one thing that's consistent about referees in England is the inconsistencies. Yeah. So, but it sounds like everyone's on the same page. We're all getting screwed, man. Yeah. So those are your picks. Mike Oliver gives Diogo Dalot a second yellow. Marcus Rashford straight red against Copenhagen. Amad Diallo second yellow against Liverpool after he celebrates that winner. The no pen against Arsenal for Gabriel pulling down Højlund. No pen against Bird for Romero's handball. And McTominay's goal against Fulham chalked off due to Maguire. Get your picks in. What was your pick for that one?
My pick was the Rashford straight red from Copenhagen. Yeah. I just want to throw in, at the time when he gets the red, we're 2-0 up. Okay, we're cruising in that match.
Momentum.
Okay, momentum shift. Yeah. Totally. We lose 4-3. We're up to second in the group. We could finish with 6. We just need a draw against Galatasaray, which we would have got. We get out of the group. Think about the money, not only the money part that we get out for doing that, okay, but then also we get to go to the Champions League. Who knows what happens there?
Don't get me started, man.
Huge decision there. I think that's where we especially got shafted.
Don't get me started on Champions League. I'm not. Yeah. So that was Justin's pick, too. So my buddy Justin couldn't be here today because family is important. That was his pick as well. I think my pick's got to be Amad Diallo getting that second yellow. Chelsea did get soft pens against us too, man. Chelsea, that was, there's so many. You could, like the Wan-Bissaka, Harvey Elliott was another soft one. That one against Chelsea, we get a lot of soft. It's like whenever there's been like a 50-50, it could go either way. It's like we just get the short end of the stick. But let me know your picks. My pick is Amad Diallo getting the second yellow because of the moment, the occasion, and everything, and what it was like. Especially for Ahmad.
Oh, yeah.
Coming back from injuries, kind of being a bit part for a while on loan, for him to come in. And it was
his announcement really to the whole league, the whole football community.
And so get your picks in. And as always, scrap VAR. All right, guys. So that was worst refereeing decision of the season. So 2 votes for the red card. We'll go with that one because it gets 2 against 1 unless somebody else helps me out in the chat. Let's move on to goal of the season. So I got a list. I'm not going to go through and break all these ones down. I just wanted to do that one because there's a lot of context for those. So I've got 7 picks. And then did you have any new ones that weren't on the list?
Not.
Okay. So I'm going to throw these ones out there. Amad Diallo's winner against Liverpool to knock them out of the FA Cup.
Huge.
Kavi Mainu's silky stoppage time winner against Wolves. Remember that one where he nutmegs one player by just a quick, just a little stutter step, comes in, destroys it. Bruno's volley against Burnley. Do you remember that one?
What a power strike.
Long ball from Johnny Evans. First time, boom. Oh. Rashford screamer in the derby against City. Yep. That was a good one.
And that was, just to throw in there, that was a 3-player play. It goes from Onana to Bruno. Bruno with the hold-up play. Rashford with the screamer.
Onana with the long ball. Bruno holds it up, just lays it off to him. Screamer. Awesome. Bruno's 25-yard rocket against Galatasaray. Oh, there's a lot of Bruno in these lists. Yeah. So that was a good goal. That was a really good goal. Kavi Mainu's Federico Makeda-esque goal against Liverpool in the FA Cup. Do you remember that? Remember we were watching that together, and I said,
the turn.
Shades of Makeda. Yep. That was and they literally, I watched the video when that happened shortly after. Someone online had superimposed both on top of each other, and it's literally carbon copy.
Yep.
Beautiful.
What a goal.
And then finally, probably everyone's picks. Danny B's picks. Probably going to be my pick because we all love a silky overhead kick. Garnacho's bicycle kick against Everton, which has already won so many official awards.
And who doesn't love Peter Drury with the, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Peter Drury as an announcer. Right. Gotta love that.
It's so funny how the commentator can make or break sometimes these moments, right? I mean, so... Garnacho's was mine. Danny B's voting for it too. What was yours?
Mine. I mean, I want to pick any one of these, and I really wanted to pick Garnacho, but just I wanted to give context for why I pick Mainoo's goal against Wolves. It's just because we knew Mainoo was going to be special.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized, me personally, I don't know if everybody did this, how special he was going to be.
You're not familiar with his game.
Not as much as I should have been. And to see him go, I mean, dribble through past 3 guys, silky smooth that for the win.
Yeah.
Okay. That set the tone for me, for him, for the rest of the season. I could pick any one of these. Sign of the times to come for Kobe. That is my pick right there.
Danny B agrees. He says, yeah, it was class 100. Mm-hmm. Danny, you're changing your vote on us? I don't know. So votes, sounds like it's 2 against 1 for Garnacho right now. So we'll take that one. So it was
3 against 1 because Danny's on there too.
Oh,
unless he changes his vote.
I gotta check what Justin voted. Let me go ahead and look again real quick. He's torn. Justin was torn between Amad Diallo's winner in the FA Cup, his Macheda-esque goal, and his bicycle kick. Yep. Justin's giving it to Garnacho. Yep. But Justin does say the meaning of Diallo's goal in the FA Cup had more weight. So that is 3 against 1 today. Yeah. So it's gonna be Garnacho's goal. Do we even need to do the Puskas? Can we just give it to him and just moving on?
Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't win a Puskas, there's a problem.
He's got a long time to get one if he doesn't win this one. But that one, as soon as it happened, I was like, just
give him the award.
Just thank everybody who lost. It is what it is.
We knew he was winning Premier League goals. There's nothing going to touch.
It's won a couple. I forget how many because I did a video on it, but there were like 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. It was like BBC, The Athletic, and then Premier League. It was like all these awards, and it was United's goal of the year. So that wins. Garnacho was overhead. I mean, we all knew what that was going to happen. So moving on to moment of the season. Before we do, don't forget the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. I say that a lot, but it's easy to forget. It does not cost you anything. It does make me feel good, and I do need that. Moment of the season, a little different than goal of the season because there's a lot more that goes into it than just the fact that it scored a goal. There's moment to it. There's context. And remember what I always say, everyone, context is key. And that's probably the most important factor of this individual award right here, moment of the season. So again, Ahmad's goal, the winner against Liverpool in the FA Cup, the whole moment there. How about Mainoo, Garnacho, and Højlund celebrate Garnacho's goal when we won 3-0 against West Ham? The iconic photo now, all 3 of them sitting, arms across shoulders on the moorings. Just that goal, that photo is like...
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's already iconic. It hasn't even been a year and it's iconic. So that was a good moment. Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos announced as new Manchester United owners. That was a big moment.
I think for all of us, that was like hope returning.
Yeah, I think that was like it was like I always think of the Hawkeye meme from Avengers. Like, don't do that. Don't give me hope. Yep. McTominay comes on as a sub against Brentford and scores 2 goals to win the match 2-1. That's like for all the stick McTominay gets. Like,
I rewatched that this morning. And still just to see that happen.
Yeah. So one thing I will say about McTominay is when it comes to being a United player, he gets it.
That's what I wanted to touch on. Yeah. He understands the culture. He understands what it means to wear the shirt. Yeah. And if they want to keep him, I'm totally good. If he understands his role as super sub or whatever to come in and do that. You're gonna ruffle some feathers in the chat. I can tell you that right now. If you've been following. So McTominay comes on, scores 2 goals to win against Brentford. Rasmus Højlund scores his first league goal. What a goal.
In a United shirt. The match winner against Aston Villa in front of the Stratford end. I think what stands out for me, and I showed this to my wife too, because I started to tear up a little bit watching his reaction to scoring that. It's a weight on your shoulders from all the pressure and everything, all the talk, the price, whatever, the comparisons to Holland, which were just lazy writing. But to see the reaction in his face, the celebration.
It brings, like you said, brings a tear to your eye.
It really does.
It shows you how much it means to him, meant to the club, and the club showed their support. I mean, we knew he was going to come good, and we knew we had to support him. Yeah. It just took, get that monkey off your back, and man, you could just see the whole team was. Onana runs down the field to help celebrate. So that's people underestimate how key that can be when you have this support. Like even that book 12 yards, they talk about when you're in a shootout, if you miss, it can do a lot to your next teammate who takes one to see the reaction of the rest of the squad, even if you do miss. Like that plays a role. That cohesion is a huge thing. And then finally, the last pick for this is winning the FA Cup as your moment of the season. So what was your pick for this one? Mine is the Ahmad goal, our celebration, knocking off Liverpool.
Yeah.
Already an iconic moment.
Yeah.
Stopped. I mean, who didn't love stopping Klopp's quadruple at the time?
Yeah, I like to take credit for us derailing his entire farewell tour.
Awesome.
If I can handle that, because I think that was the beginning of it for me.
We see Ahmad come out because he's went on for like 30 minutes and he showed that he belonged out there. We knew it. I think the people that were really, were glued in, we knew he needed a chance. He showed it. He took it. And this was the catalyst for that FA Cup win. Yeah, we struggled against Coventry, but we kind of used some of that. So that's my pick.
And I mean, we all knew it. Ahmad. We've been asking for it.
Yeah.
Because Ten Hag was sticking with Anthony, trying to make it work, and we're like, dude, Ahmad was injured, so it is what it is. But that was Justin's pick. He sent me his email pick, so that's my pick as well. I do like winning the FA Cup. That was probably my second. It's close, but I do think just the moment, it was such a good match to watch. I think we looked really, really good.
Yep.
It was at home. Like, there's so much to it that you can't ignore it. And so that's my pick.
And that match, even when like things went against us, we didn't give up.
Yeah.
It was like things were starting to change.
Yeah.
And that was huge too.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Did Cam Walla play in that match too?
I believe he did. I think he came on late.
Because he looked good when he came on. I'm still surprised that obviously I think he just wasn't
going to play. Yeah.
So okay.
But we got a buyback clause. So.
That's right. We do love a buyback clause.
Yeah.
Danny B agrees. Ahmad. It's a clean sweep.
Yep.
Ahmad, man, I'm so excited for Ahmad this season.
I want him to start so bad.
Man.
Oh.
So I have two more here before we get to the big one. So these two weren't on the list that I sent you. They weren't on the list I sent Justin. So Justin, if you are watching, pay attention and get involved. But I thought I'd get the chat involved with this one a little much more. So I've said many times throughout this whole summer, preseason is about fitness and getting a look at some players, which we've done. But it's also like there's a joke, right? We've got what's the term associated with United players in preseason?
It's the hope that kills you.
It's the preseason Pirlo, right? We have the preseason. So we had Andres Pereira preseason. So this is my preseason Pirlo award.
So if you don't notice, I screwed that up.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Like I said, I didn't let you guys know ahead of time. Preseason Pirlo, basically. People that have maybe stood out to you in preseason that maybe, just getting a good look at. They have a really good preseason. Still undecided whether or not they're going to have a decent showing in the league. So I've got 5 picks in there. You guys can go ahead and put yours in too if you agree. So Harry Amas, Toby Collier, Amad Diallo, Jadon Sancho might surprise some people that I put him in there, but then also Casemiro. I think Casemiro clinched it for me today. He's played a lot of preseason as well. So what do you guys think? Who gets your preseason Pirlo? Who's shined on preseason that, jury's maybe still a little bit out on, but there's a good chance they could either do really well or maybe kind of shrink under the spotlight. What would you say?
We were talking about this prior to starting the channel today. I loved what I saw from the young kids, Amos and Collier. I think there's going to be, I know it took a little bit for Harry to get going. I thought he still, even when it took a little bit, I thought he still played well. But mine's going to be Ahmad. I think he's game ready, match ready. Like we were just saying, if he doesn't get going, if he doesn't get a chance to start, it's a crime.
Yeah.
Because he looked good. He looked like he's ready to take over that right wing.
Ahmad started the preseason looking like it was like, remember when we played Rosenborg, the first match, they're literally in the middle of their season, so they were match fit. That's how Ahmad looked from the first minute when he played this. And I think that I would agree. Ahmad for me gets my pick. I hope it doesn't go the Andres Pereira route, where it is true only preseason part of the Pirlo and not the Pirlo part. But get your guys' picks in the chat. Who gets your preseason Pirlo award? Who is shining preseason, but maybe your jury's still out because we don't know. I do have another one for you. So it's a bit of a cliche question. Danny B, 1 Ahmad, 2 Collier, 3. Oh yeah, I forgot about Oyedele. Danny and I have talked about him a couple times. Bennett is up there. Fish. Fish has had some iffy moments. I think we had that first. I forget what that match was. He made that mistake, and it was like Fish is like 2021 now. So I feel like
I get the feeling they're either going to let him walk or they're going to sign him.
Well, he's injured. He picked up that injury. Same injury I had.
But he's only on a 1 year, right? He's only 1 year left on the contract.
I don't know, Danny. You might know, Danny, if. How many years left? Like, he got ligament issues. And his was an ankle. Mine is in my foot, but same thing. It's going to be like 2, almost 3 months out. So, okay.
Yeah, but Oyedele, great call out to Oyedele.
Yeah, good shout there. Big shout. I know Danny's mentioned Oyedele a couple times. And so the next one, again, like I said, kind of a cliche question. A lot of people get asked this question a lot as United fans. You and I spoke a little bit about it beforehand. If you given context, so again, context is key. Given where the squad is now, what we need, if you could take any former United player in their prime and put him in this squad right now, where we at this summer, heading into the season, who would it be? Get involved in the chat. Danny forgot about Ahmad's number 4. Yeah, sounds like Ahmad clean sweep that category. So get involved in the chat. Any former player in their prime, put in the squad now based on where we are, depth-wise, quality-wise, what we need for the next season. Who would it be? Who's your pick?
If I could pick anybody, and we talked about this before, taking Roy Keane.
Yep.
He's going to provide that mental. It's kind of like Leacha. He's going to give you that mental strike. He's going to tell you what you need to do. He's not going to let Rashford get down. Okay, he's going to say either pick it up or get off the field.
Yeah.
And he's going to do that with young kids. He's going to instill to the young kids, to Mainu, to Garnacho, to Ahmad, to all of them, Collier, Amos, what they need to do.
Yep.
And that's what we need. We need somebody in that midfield to kind of boss people around. They don't have to be, some world beater, not that Keane wasn't, but they're going to boss the midfield around.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, and that was my pick too. We talked about it. I would pick Roy Keane. I think I love his personality. And quite honestly, I think Roy Keane is what football needs right now. We don't have these hard men, these guys that are just going to get stuck in no matter what. Not even if there's a need for it, but he's just going to do it. And I know I just gave Bernardo Silva shit for it, but there's a difference. When you're Roy Keane, you pretty much do what you want.
Oh, yeah.
I think we do need that little bit more of that physicality. I love what Roy brings back to the club. He's one of the great captains. I think like Bruno, he has that petulance. He has that just, I'm going to yell at everybody, but it's because he's got high standards. He just does. And he won't let you let your foot off the gas. Roy Keane won't let anybody else in that squad play at less than 110% effort, energy, whatever you want to call it. And he will, like, the people who aren't up to that, if Roy Keane were in the squad, they'll be out the door because that's just the way it is.
I'm loving the Paul Scholes comment that he was the other one we had on there.
Good shout.
Like Keno or Scholes.
Yeah.
So.
Scholes has got to be for me probably. I know Giggsy is my favorite, but Scholes for me has got to be up there with top 3 for me of one of the best United players that I've ever seen of all time for us. Just and I don't always. And I got into a chat with a Liverpool fan during the Champions League final, but it's not just because of what he did Scholes wise, but the way other class players talk about him, treat him. He was like the only player that Xavi Hernandez asked for his shirt. Like Zidane has nothing but praise for Paul Scholes. Like all the big teams in the 90s and the early aughts, like with Juventus, all the big Italian, they all wanted Paul Scholes. And you don't get that as an English player very frequently, especially at that time. So I hear you. Good shout, Dan.
Yeah, we were talking right between that. I just think personally that we need that toughness, and I think Roy gives a little bit more of that. But no, Paul Scholes is a great choice too.
Look at this. A Menu Scholesy double pivot. Oh, it's fire, bro.
That is so good.
One can ping the pass and get physical. Manu's got that physical. Manu can carry the ball, I think, a little better than Scholes. I think that we all really miss Scholesy's late runs and those screamer goals.
Just watching those.
Yeah. Even Pep said he was the best, says Danny. Yeah, Paul
Thank
Scholes.
you, Danny.
So, and I said that on another video. The Gerrard Lampard Scholesy debate for me has never been a debate.
No. When you have one, and again, Pep gets all the best players and everything. He's still a good manager. When he says he's the best ever, and he played against him, I think it's hands down you won.
Yeah. I think so. It's a good shout, Danny. Good shout.
Great shout.
That sounds like, I mean, there may be an opportunity for a whole entire video on that topic, maybe in the future. I'm thinking as I was doing this, maybe like a bracket of former players, and we just do like a Champions League style bracket break it down to like the best starting 11. So little mini brackets for each position. We'll put an all-time starting 11 in there. Let me know if that's something you guys ever want to see, if you guys want to be a part of, if you want to come back and get involved in that. Like, if you guys do March Madness, if you guys do World Cup brackets and Champions League and stuff, maybe we could do that. So I see a future video in there. So this is going to bring us to the biggie. The reason everyone's here, right? That's my last slide too. Look at that. Player of the season. So we've done worst refereeing decision. So far, it sounds like Rashford's red card against Copenhagen clinches that. We've got the moment of the season, which was Ahmad's FA Cup win. We've got the goal of the season, Garnacho's overhead.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Sorry. Had to throw that.
Yep. The preseason Pirlo Award. Yep. Who won that one again? Is that Ahmad?
Ahmad.
Yeah. So Ahmad is picking up. He's taking home all the gold tonight. So now we're on to player of the season, you guys. So get your picks in for this. I'm going to throw out the 6 that I put on my list based on just what they offered last season, how they performed, what they did. Some of them might surprise you, some of them won't. So I'm obviously Bruno Fernandes is always going to be a shout in there. Alejandro Garnacho had some brilliant moments. I think he really stepped up in terms of development last season. Diogo Dalot, who already won United's Player of the Season, if you don't remember. Scott McTominay, interesting shout, right? Johnny Evans, based on him coming back. No one expected a whole lot. I'm sure he not expected to play, but what he did whenever he was called upon 100%. Last season, and just how well he acquitted himself is like, I think everybody was shocked. And then Rasmus Højlund. I think a lot of people had a lot of pressure. They didn't think maybe he was never supposed to be the striker, but he ended up getting 16 goals,
16 total goals, 10 in the league.
Yeah, he was brilliant in Champions League. Like you and I were talking about, he was on a run in Champions League. And his shot conversion was a thing of beauty as well. Shame that he was picking up little injuries here and there, and he wasn't getting like service. Basically, he was at one point like. When it came to strikers receiving passes and getting service, he was low on the list. There was one match where the most passes he received from a teammate was from Onana. And so no striker, you could take any striker, past, present, whatever, and put him in the system like that, and it's going to look the same. So
Mainu's a great shout out.
Mainu's a great shout as well. I think at first when I did this, I almost didn't put Mainu because he missed a lot of the season, but then I'm looking at quality over quantity in terms of what he did. So I will go ahead and add Kobbie Mainoo to the list. Danny, keep me honest, my guy. Always here. Appreciate it, man. I'm going to throw out Justin's pick first. So you guys get involved in the chat. Who's your pick? So Justin's pick, and I told Justin, he called me right before you got here, and he was trying to explain it because he gave me a little write-up. So you guys, we're allowed differing opinions. We're allowed to everyone to just have their voice, but Justin's a little like me when it comes to what he values in players, and a little old school. We appreciate the effort. Like you and I have talking about, like McTominay gets what it means. So Justin said his player of the season is Scott McTominay. I'm going to read you what Justin wrote. He said, I'm quoting here. So he said, dude came in clutch on so many occasions, multiple goals, multiple assists, setting up plays. While often out of position, he fought for the club like a gladiator, and that's my favorite type of player no matter the club. So Justin values players who get what it means to play for the badge.
That's right.
And at Manchester United, that has a whole new meaning.
Oh yeah.
So
and I totally understand that. I think McTominay gets it, and that's why there are times when you're just like McTominay, McSauce, what are you doing? But he knows what it means deep down. So that's a great pick.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be in the chat being like, what are you doing? Because I like that.
Yeah.
I just want to do a quick shout out with Johnny Evans, throw some stats out there.
Jump on it, man.
Because he's I have on here hard worker, throwback player. Just he's a Fergie player. Yeah, he gets that a little more. He's got a special place in my heart that he's almost my age. He's a little bit older than me, but I could be out there. Maybe I'm too short. But
I mean, if Legion can do it.
Yeah. But he's got a special place in my heart because of what he does, what he put forward. He knew he wasn't probably going to play, but he came in to do what he needed to do. I've got him playing 30 matches here. Just look at some stats here. He didn't get any goals, obviously. 22 conceded, which is, that's not totally his fault. But penalties given, that's big.
Yeah.
1.5. He's in the 94th percentile for defenders.
Yeah.
70 clearances, 95th percentile. 18 shots blocked, 97th percentile.
And that's what happens, like we said, from experience. A lot of interceptions is knowing where the danger is coming from and putting yourself in the best. Daley Blind was really good at this.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give Johnny Evans a shout out because I know sometimes we get lost in the minutia there.
Yeah. I like that word, minutia. Good job.
But Johnny Evans, love you, man. This was the hardest one. And I was telling you this before. I could have picked anybody, Bruno, Alejandro. I'm going with Diogo Dalot. Okay.
Yep. Tell us why.
Yep. So he played 50 matches. Okay. 10 goals, 7 in the league. Okay. He had 5 assists, which is big, especially from our wing backs there. 4 assists in the league. His wing play greatly improved from the year before.
One of the best, most improved players of last season.
I think that was huge. I think he really started to buy into what I think Ten Hag saw something, bought into what Ten Hag was going, wanted to do. Bright future. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the wrong person. I was doing Garnacho shit. You let me do this. Yes. Oh, shit.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right. So,
oddly enough, everything you said about him, I mean, maybe not stats-wise.
Yeah, stats were wrong. I'm like, these stats don't look right.
That's funny.
So, hopefully you guys laughed at that.
His fault.
Okay.
His fault.
It is mine. I'm looking. I've got everything written out here. I tried to do all the stats, but I liked he's a player of versatility. He could play right or left back.
Yeah.
I bet obviously when he was out there on the right, United was better.
Yeah.
We had better attacking output. He also played 50 games. I'm not looking at Garnacho's stat this time. I had 3 goals, 2 in the league.
Yeah.
I like this. He was part of 8 clean sheets. He had 78 tackles per 90. He was in 77th percentile for an attacking player. That's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
35 interceptions, 72nd percentile. So again, he's trying to get up there.
Yeah.
But I like what he brought. He brought the versatility. He fought for everything.
Oh yeah.
I think I think we saw this when he was on loan at AC Milan too. He was fighting. He was trying to show his worth because he knew he was worth it. Mourinho probably saw that too.
Yeah.
I think he believes in himself more than he ever has, and I think he's got a manager in Ten Hag that does too.
And what I noticed from Dallo last year too is he gets what the moments mean. He would make those last ditch tackles, those recovery tackles, and he would big up the Stretford and he would big up the crowd. He would celebrate. I mean, he's got that dog in him a little bit as well. But Dallo, I like for his final ball to improve. I think this crossing, 100%. It's like 9 times out of 10, it's a souvenir for somebody.
Just Garnacho's got to go up.
And that's funny thing, like the ball from Dallo for that was actually a little bit behind him. So it is. I'm not trying to take away everything you said because I think Dallo has obviously the club agreed. He got the award. I think he's been one of the most improved players. I think that he's locked up that right hand side for sure, and I think that Mezraoui coming in potentially will only push him on.
100%.
And I think that could be really good. On Johnny Evans though, real quick. Now, if you remember, we said he wasn't really meant to be the guy. He and Varane were the most used center back pairing in this of the season because of how many injuries we had. That's insane. He said he played 30 matches. Yeah. I'm sure he wouldn't think he was going to play more than like 30 minutes total. Yeah. But were you going to say something?
No, just adding on to that Johnny Evans being such a special player.
Yeah. So it looks like Danny B, your player is Mainu. Is that who you're picking? You're being sold.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a pick. Who's your pick?
Diogo Dallo.
Okay. Justin, Scott McTominay. Yeah, the votes are split. Man, it's hard. I feel like a lot of people are just going to say Bruno Fernandes. I feel like in this case, it's kind of the boring one. For me, I might, and I know it's going to be funny because I didn't include him on the list. It might be Kobbie Mainoo for me. Simply because if it was any other club aside from United, I might not have done this, but because, and then we just did that video yesterday about Jimmy Murphy. I think because of the fact, academy player, youth, what that means at this club, what Kobbie Mainoo did. He was injured. He comes in late November, and just from the moment he came in, it was obvious there's something here.
Belonged. It was. I put this on a couple for the goals that he scored. It's a level of maturity. It's a level of steadfastness that he had.
There's composure.
Thank you. That you don't see. At the kids that age. So
even when he went to England, I know we're talking about the United season, but it's just another example. When he went to England, and he was starting. He was just calm. And that's how you can tell a player is like Berbatov did it. If you look like you're moving slow, like you're that's a good sign.
Oh yeah.
And so it's got to be Mainoo for me. Some great moments from Kobbie Mainoo, some really good goals, silky goals. Obviously part of that iconic trio photo as well.
The new Trinity. One
for the future. I think that if Casemiro were leaving, I think that 18 shirt would probably be Mainoo's next season. Maybe Kobbie Mainoo.
I'm getting sold, apparently. Hopefully I fetch a good fee.
He's jet lagged right now. He just flew in from Manchester to be here today. Danny B says, if he didn't come in and play the way he did at the time, boosted the whole team, I mean, we would have been goosed. I think we were 100%. Crying out for I think he was a blessing in many, many ways.
And that's a good point because we went on a bit of a win streak, I believe, when he came in. Because I have it written down. I think we went on a 4-match win streak right when he came in.
Kobbie Mainoo, man. We tie him down, new contract, give him whatever shirt number he wants. I don't care if he's wearing it. I don't care. If he wants, triple digits, give it to him. I don't care. I want the 999 shirt.
Yep.
Get 777. I want to be more than 3. Fine, take it. I don't care.
Whatever you want.
Build the midfield around him moving forward.
100%. He's your star.
Get him someone to do the tackles for him. Let him carry the ball. There was one match, I can't remember where it was. It was a ball straight out from Onana, and Mainu was playing as like in the pivot, but he was on the left side, and he came in. He let it come off his shoulder, took it into his stride, beat the defender, and just kept carrying it. Like, it's just stuff like that where you're like, dude, you're what, 18? Like, come on, that's not fair. He's got a family, Mainu. What are you doing? Like, so I'm gonna have to agree with Danny and go Mainu. So it's Scott McTominay, Diogo Dalot, Kobbie Mainu gets 2. So Kobbie Mainu wins Player of the Season, which is very good. Considering he didn't join until late November again. But I think it's just an instance of quality over quantity for Mainu, and I think that, like you're saying, correlation, not necessarily causation, but we did go on a winning streak. Danny B says he did boost the whole team when he came in, and I just think that he has brought something in terms of who he is as a player that we haven't seen. I think it's what we thought maybe we were getting when we re-signed Pogba, but we didn't necessarily get. I don't think he's a 6. I want to see him more in that box-to-box 8. He does have the recovery in him. We saw it with England as well. But I think you're losing a little bit of what you get from Manu if you're keeping him deep. I want him to get the ball 100%. Forward. I want him to get involved. We saw what he did against Liverpool, what he did against Wolves. I want him to get forward. I want him to get involved with linking up, with getting to know those attacking players a little better.
I agree.
The future looks bright, as I've said on the channel many times. But that is going to wrap it up for us. It's a long video today, probably the longest video, an hour, 40 minutes. But that was our awards, you guys. What did you guys think? I'd love to see everybody getting involved. Danny B obviously holding down the fort, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dylan, / Christian Eriksen, for stopping by today. It was great to have you here, man.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Any last thoughts on the match or the season or anything? We're going to do another video in the future after the transfer window closes on rating the window and maybe expectations for the season. So I'd love to have you back to do something like that as well.
I'm excited for the season. I think we've got a lot of youth that are going to come in and provide Collier, Amos, obviously Mainu, Ahmad. They're going to come in, provide a big boost. If we can get a midfielder, if we can get a left back, I think we might have a team that can do some things. I don't know. I don't think we're going to challenge, but I think top 4 is definitely something we can get to.
I'd like to see a deep run in Europa
League.
I
would love that.
I'd like to at least get to the semis if possible. We got to the quarterfinals. Was it quarterfinals that Ten Hag got us to the first season, or was it?
I believe it was.
Was it the round of 16?
Quarterfinals, because we beat, I think it was Betis or Sociedad, and we lost in the next one. Yeah, because we beat Barcelona in 32.
Yep.
And maybe it was, or maybe it was 16, because then we lost. No, because we played Sevilla and we lost. There was that 3-2 after being 2-0 up.
Danny B says we need 2 mids and Ferdy, the left back from Fenerbahce. Danny wants 2 mids. We do need 2 mids. I try to balance between what I know we need and what I think is realistic based on finances and moving players on. Yeah. Obviously, Amrabat's still out there as an option. Sander Berge is out there as an option. Rabiot's free. Obviously,
I don't want Rabiot.
You don't want Rabiot?
I mean, he's a good player, but there's going to be a lot of baggage.
And that's what I said on the channel. The baggage is 5-year-old baggage now. Yeah. We haven't heard a whole lot about Rabiot's attitude in a couple of years.
But his mom's the agent. And that's
mom's the agent.
Bigger issue.
He wants a lot of money, from what I've read too. So if he wants, it's like $240,000 a week he wants, which is a huge step up from what he's on at Juve. I'm like, no, I love Rabiot. I think that someone with that experience and that skill and that profile is exactly what we could use right now, especially if we might be losing someone like Eriksen. But we're trying to get away from the wage structure. We're trying, like Xerxes and Euro, not even on like triple digit wages a week. I don't think so. I think we're trying to get away from that. So,
well, if I move on, I'll let you know.
Yeah, if we do sell you, we'll get a couple million. You're going to go back to Ajax. You're going to go to Turkey,
to Ajax.
Recap Sports Sub-Zero. That's a long name. I love it though, man. I'm up for it. This season we will do wonders. The guy in the red guy looked like Eriksen. Welcome to an hour and 45 minutes ago. This is Dylan. He's joined me today, buddy of mine from Detroit Red Devils, the officially recognized supporters group of Manchester United. They meet out at Loaded Dice Brewery in Troy. Big up Jeff and Jen at Loaded Dice. Big up Detroit Red Devils. Got the scarf back behind me. You guys always know that's here, so now you know. Dylan, appreciate you coming by and sharing your thoughts, my guy. Good to see you, man. It's been too long.
I know, man.
Friday. Fulham.
Loaded Dice.
Green is good.
Be a little late with work, but I'll be there.
So that's going to do it for us today. And barring any sort of last minute here we go or bombas this afternoon as far as transfer rumors concerned. I'm going to leave it there for today and then probably pick back up tomorrow morning. A lot of prep went into this, a lot of furniture. I had to take apart this table and just to get it through the door. So I hope you guys appreciate that. But I'm exhausted. You're exhausted. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Recap Sports. Who else up? The Dark Crow, McMillan. Thank you guys all for stopping by today. Justin, I know you guys are chilling with some friends, but I do appreciate you getting your picks in, doing your research ahead of time, Justin. Do appreciate that. And everybody loved the picks. So thank you guys for stopping by. Don't forget to like the video on your way out, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Go check me out on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody. And I will see you guys on the next one. Later.
Thanks, guys.